This is module 30. The title of the module is Corpora, Future Indian Needs. So this is the last module of this course. Here we are trying to identify what are the present requirements of the Indian languages, to classify them accordingly and propose for development some corpora for Indian languages, their processing and utilizations. So you have already noted throughout the course, we are always trying to emphasize mostly on Indian languages, keeping in mind the requirement of the country and its people and its languages. So even though there have been several theoretical issues discussed, practical issues, practical problems are identified, discussed, highlighted and presented before you to ponder over. Here I would try to concentrate mostly on generation of corpora of different types and Indian languages, which I personally believe are essential requirements for the betterment of Indian languages and people. So I'll discuss about our realization of the present state in corpus development activities of the country. Then also we'll try identify one by one what are the things we require. So the realization is like this. What is realized here? That the activities relating to corpus generation, storage, management, processing, analysis and information deduction from those corpora, as well as utilization of linguistic data and information corpora in all other fields of linguistics and language technology, are much ahead in advanced languages. Particularly if we look at the corpora developed in English, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, Dutch, German and many other languages. You'll be surprised to know that. We are really surprised to find that there is almost almost no field is left out where corpus and its relevant information is not being used. That means all the branches, all the domains of language studies are somehow directly or indirectly depending on data and information retrieved from corpora. And as a result, they have got more advanced resources. These languages are called resourceful or resource-rich languages. Because whatever the type of required language data you ask for, you will get, at least if not a full-fledged one, at certain amount. But if you look back to the Indian languages, we find that Indian languages are mostly called resource-poor languages because there is least resources. One of the major reasons is that we have not yet given much emphasis on generation of language corpora of various types for most of these languages and never tried to utilize them. Whatever we have never tried to process them, to analyze them, to utilize them, to extract information from them and to substantiate our existing knowledge base, existing databases with new findings. So this has been a real challenge for us. So realization is that Indian languages still lag far behind compared to those Western languages, advanced languages. Fallacy is somewhere that, irony is somewhere else. If you find that first most frequently used 10 languages, if you take into consideration, at least half of them come from Indian subcontinent. Say Bangla comes, Hindi comes, Telugu comes, Tamil comes, at least 4. But point is that if you look at the resources available, technology available for those languages are far behind. What are the problems then? Many problems. Problems lack of inspiration, lack of insight, lack of trained manpower, lack of resources, financial support, lack of patronage, so various issues involved into it. So even if we keep those things into mind, the reality is that we are lacking far behind. And because of these things, because of our apathy towards our mother tongues, because of lack of interest to our mother tongue, we are not in a position to put our language to the place where it should be. We know that Hindi has a huge number of speakers. In fact, Hindi stands second or third in the list, Bangla maybe fourth. So such huge speakers, huge applications, huge potentials, and to be honest, a very good market also. Even then, the resources not yet developed. So realization is not very encouraging. We have realized that now the time has come, we need to develop many resources of various types, mostly in digital way, digital form, to be available to the people for the promotion, for the protection, for the upliftment, for the encouragement of the language. So for this, we need corpora of different types. So here we find out, we have given a presentation here and a figure in a form of a figure to show how we need to do, what we need to do. So here we say in one by one, keeping in mind in general the Indian languages and dialects, what are the things we need at present? First one, corpora. We first need corpora of all types. Particularly, we need at least corpus of text materials produced in Indian languages. And each corpus should be a purely monolingual, multidimensional, multidisciplinary, balanced general or reference corpus. For all the Indian languages, we need it. So, we should ask our governments, ask our funding agencies to provide fund so that we can develop good representative corpus for each of the Indian languages. If not all the dialects, all major languages that included in the Indian Constitution should have at least 10 to 20 million, minimum 20 million data of text in a evenly uniform manner. They are developed in Unicode format. So that is our first requirement, because that should be treated as the most reliable resource, most faithful resource for all kinds of linguistic and extra-linguistic technological activities. Similarly, we need speech corpora for each of the major languages. We know there are many good speech corpora so far developed for English, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and many other languages. And these speech corpora are properly tagged, annotated, processed, and analyzed and utilized for various activities related to technology development. Speech technology, text-to-speech technology, speech-to-text technology, and many other domains. Unfortunately, I am very sorry to say that not a single speech corpus is ever developed in any of the Indian languages till date. Although I also know that some PhD scholars in different universities, in different IITs, and different other research centers have developed so small, simple speech sample databases for their individual research purposes. Immediately I can refer to some research works or speech database developed in Corpora IIT, even CIL Mysore. I have checked those data. I found that these are good databases, no doubt, for specific individual research purposes. But these are not speech corpora in the true sense of the term. So our second important requirement is the speech corpora for each of the Indian languages. At least 10 million words of running speech data should be available, compiled in a very uniform manner, in a systematic manner, representing various multiple possible dialogic interactions and monologic texts and normal conversational data. That should be transcribed, that should be annotated, that should be marked out, and that should be made available for all kinds of speech technology related research and development activities. Until and unless we prepare those things, make those things available to the young generations of new generations of scholars who are going to explore or understand or study those languages, it is very difficult for them to move forward. So it is our responsibility that we should develop those corpus for many of the Indian languages and make them available for technology, language technology or speech technology research and development activities. Even if we claim that we can develop that one, that's not possible until and unless these resources are met. Third one, which I think we require for Indian languages, is the special corpus. Special corpus means that we need a specialized databases for specific researches. We need a data speech corpus or text corpus produced by learners. We need text corpus used in newspapers. We need text corpus used in English newspapers. We need text corpus used in different corporate houses, different commercial activities. Why do we need? Because these are going to address specific needs, requirements. Suppose we want to develop good teaching modules, even in the first language, for Indian learners. We don't know what kind of errors they make. Until and we identify what kind of errors those learners actually make in the process of learning texts or languages, we cannot prescribe good textbooks for them, good study materials for them. And to analyze those errors or to identify those errors, we need to have a learner corpus. So my suggestion here is that we should go for developing good learner corpus for many Indian languages. And analysis of those corpora and information extracted from those corpora may directly be used to supplement our knowledge base, to modify those text materials, and to enhance the quality of the study materials to the learners. The fourth requirement is tagged corpora. It should be made clear to us that until and unless a corpus is properly processed and tagged, the utility of a corpus is drastically reduced. So, at least we should have corpus at post-tagged corpus. Post-tagged corpus is required for most of the Indian languages, so that we can have at least say 10 million or 10 million data tagged at the parts of speech level that can be used for all kinds of linguistic activities. We can have, similarly, we should go for monitor corpora for all major Indian languages, so that we can gradually upgrade the database in those monitor corpora over years, over decades, over centuries, to have a huge linguistic archive for all the Indian languages. Monitor corpora is very much required to understand how languages are actually undergoing changes in time, what kind of external, internal pressure is creating changes into the language. So my suggestion is that we should keep in mind to develop monitor corpus similar to that of, say, Bank of English. So by our Oxford Text Archive, where you can find out that gradually upgrade the data newly produced and systematically arranged and put into the archive. So we need a kind of system where monitor corpus can be developed in a diachronic frame. Immediately we should start like that. And we are talking so long for the major Indian languages, but Now we have already realized, and we are happy also that our present government is also interested to document the minority languages, endangered languages, the mother tongues. So in a pan-Indian big project for documentation and preservation of the minority languages. So we know that some projects are still going on where attempts are being made to get data from those languages. So in that particular context, it is very much important that we should have dialect corpora for all the dialects used in India. All major dialects or minor dialects, endangered dialects, whatever the dialects are available. There are nearly 200 or 2,800 something like the dialects so far spoken in India. So we need to develop good dialect corpora for all those languages. It's a part of our social responsibility, national duty that we should develop dialect corpora in a very systematic way, in a digital version, so that that can be properly restored, preserved or promoted. Since we are talking about tagged corpora, also we need for parsed corpora for almost all Indian languages, where all sentences are parsed, all sentences are parsed, identified their parts of phrase structures, the clause structures in a tree diagram mode, so that they can also be used for many of the language technology research and activities. If possible, we can go for comparable corpora across Indian languages, so that cross-lingual verification, validation, comparison are possible with reference to the comparable corpora. Suppose we have corpora between Odia and Bangla, then we can use that for studying between the closeness, semantic, linguistic, all kinds of similarities to explore from the information available there. The second important area which I find very important to be in Indian context about the lexicon. To be honest, we have good dictionaries. To be honest, we have good lexical databases. But to be honest, we don't have good general lexicon for all the Indian languages. So this is must. If you want to have any language technology related works, any language technology related activities or resources to be developed for language people and the languages, then general lexicon is must. That needs to be available in printed as well as in digital version. So once the corpora are developed, it would be quite easy for us to compile those general lexicons. So my first argument in the frame of lexicon is that we should have large lexicon, general lexicon for almost all the Indian languages. And once this lexical database is available, we can further expand it similarly in a similar fashion to compile data or compile words in other ways. We can also use that general lexicon to assemble separate databases of, say, set phrases or idioms across Indian languages, proverb lists, or term banks, scientific and technical term banks, bilingual or multilingual lexical databases. So these are very much essential things for all, not only for language technology, but for the promotion, education and all purposes. So these are the lexicons which can also be utilized for developing the wordnet, which has already been developed, and that can be expanded for many other languages. We also need, with the reference to the lexicon, digital dictionaries. For us, there is no digital dictionary available for any of the Indian languages, similar that kind of a Oxford English dictionary in the printed digital version. We need to have a kind of dictionaries for all the major Indian languages. This unfortunately has not been done because of the corpora and maybe some other technological limitations. But this is high time that we should concentrate, we should focus on it, we should try to develop digital dictionaries for all major Indian languages that can be readily available as a part of the e-governance, part of the e-education technology, part of the e-learning methodology, part of the e-learning process, so that people all across the globe can utilize and refer to those materials, resources for their activities. The third part which we need to emphasize here is the tools. As I have already said that for many of the Indian languages we are called resource poor languages and technology poor languages. So we need to develop many techniques and tools for almost all the languages. And the primary focus would be on some of the major tools that we think can be utilized for all purposes. The one concordance tool for almost all the Indian languages, tool for lemmatization, tool for keyword searching, tool for part of speech tagging, tool for chunking, tool for tokenization, and tool for parsing. These tools are mandatory for almost all the languages. When the digital corpora developed, it is mandatory we should go for these tools and many other tools if possible, but these are absolutely necessary at present for the promotion or for the language technology or corpus related activities in all the Indian languages. Then the other important area which we need to focus is that we need to have an archive. So I have been speaking about it for years now, that this is high time when we are developing digital texts, digital corpora, digital materials, linguistic resources in Indian languages. We need to have a digital archive for Indian languages. We may call it a digital archive for Indian languages, or we can call a national archive for Indian languages. This would be a text archive where all the texts, text corpora and other digital resources should be available, freely downloadable and for global and national access. It would be an open source kind of archive where all materials can be accessible by people of different societies, different communities, different researchers. So starting from to students to all people or technologies people can utilize that. So we should have a speech archive where all the speech texts collected from various Indian languages are preserved and stored. We can have also a text archive where all the text corpora can be systematically preserved and processed and uploaded. We can have a dialect archive also, similarly, where the dialects and other related information should be systematically stored and represented for research and development activities. We can also have the lexicon archive where lexical databases are preserved, stored, updated, continuously changed, modified for usage. We can also have a good pan-Indian tree bank where all the sentences of all the languages should be systematically designed or arranged. We can also have similarly the archive of idioms. All the idiomatic expressions available from Indian languages can be systematically arranged, having their mutual translation and equivalence arranged in a linear or in some elegant fashion for cross-lingual access and reference. Similarly, you can have a proverbial archive. So here our proposal is that we should go develop at least one archive, if not many, where Indian digital resources, linguistic resources can be put together, pressed together and made accessible to the common people, and a continuous process of research activities, research and development activities would be carried on, would be going on for the betterment, for the upgradation of the knowledge and resources for the generations to come. Finally, the most important part is that the project, the thing I'm trying to project here, is a huge and massive task. The very huge project. It involves from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, all the languages, all the speakers, and all the dialect varieties, and all those things. So since it's a very massive task, we need a huge number of human resource to carry out those tasks. And since it's a very specialized task, specialized activities, we need a large number of specialized properly, adequately trained people. So, in our scheme, we also need to focus on the development of human resource. A huge army of experts should be developed who would work in this part. In this group, there would be some corpus linguists who know how to collect data, how to store data, how to process data, how to utilize data, how to analyze data. So a large team of corpus experts, corpus linguists are required for that. We also need field linguists who know how to conduct interviews, how to go to for field studies, how to collect data from the informants, how to conduct surveys, how to store data, how are the technicalities involved into it. We also need a lot of computer scientists, because this is a massive task, it's a big project, a lot of computers would be involved into it. So the computer science people would be able to handle the store, process, and develop programs so that management and retrieval of data from the archive is an easy process. A large number of translators would be required for translation purposes, tagging purposes, for annotating the data, for generating the metadata, and making those texts intelligible for all communities. Also, we need lexicographers to develop the lexicons, different types of dictionaries, different types of thesauruses, and many other things. Also, we need statisticians who will do a lot of statistical studies on different types of text and materials and corpora to find out, to draw mathematical or numerical studies or inferences, quantitative studies to identify the distributions of properties and elements into the languages, and also identify how those elements and languages are spread across the country and how those can be accessed in different ways. As we have already noted that we have already identified different types of requirements, different types of resources, tools, archive, and human resources. So here I would like to more emphasize on the National Archive for Indian Languages, and we also need to identify the basic functionalities. Here is a list of the functionalities that I need to highlight here before I sum up how these things can contribute towards the growth and progress of the Indian languages. The functional modalities of the proposed archive, which is proposed as the National Archive for Indian Languages, may work in the following way. It will be a concerted effort to assemble all texts and speech corpora developed so far in all Indian languages and are now under the custody of individual developers. So it will also assemble those texts which are now developed at the individual level and scatter all across the country, put under the one umbrella or under one roof. It will bring those national resources under a single platform for proper archiving, documentation, processing, as well as for distribution. It will act as a centrally approved repository of linguistic data and resources for all Indian languages in the form of text, speech, and lexical databases. It will facilitate and provide required financial as well as technical supports for creation of new language databases by different individuals and organizations. It will set some benchmark standards of corpus data collection and storage for Indian languages for various research and development activities. It will work for monitoring the corpus development projects, activities if the benchmarks defined by it is not properly followed, and creation of the future language corpora. It will provide technical support and share those knowledge base with all the individuals and people engaged in the tasks. It will facilitate the development and enrichment of competent manpower and expert of human resources through proper trainings, workshops, seminars, and others. It will create and maintain websites and home pages which will be used as primary gateways for accessing Indian language corpora, both written and spoken, corpus processing tools, and language resources. It will work for designing and providing help to industries and research organization in creation of appropriate tools, techniques, systems, and software of language and speech technology for the common use. It will work for providing a link between the individual researchers, academic institutions, and masses, so that language corpora as well as linguistic resources developed from these studies are available for the people of the country. Also, it will work in collaboration with similar institutes, university and research institutes, research bodies, other countries for exchange of linguistic data and information, knowledge through joint or individual or institutional research combinations, exchange of scholars, academic program, and sharing. So, in sum, what we realize here that in comparison to other languages, advanced languages in Europe, America, Australia, and others, or even in some in Asian countries, the status of Indian languages with regard to language technology and language corpora is not much encouraging. So it is high time for us that we should concentrate, we should try to focus to develop the linguistic resources and corpora as proposed here, and move in this direction, so that utilizations of corpora and their resources and other information examples retrieved from corpora actually benefit the entire country and its people and its languages for their promotion, development, and improvement. Thank you.